Welcome to the How to Derive Value from Your Data Strategy webinar. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Chi Underwood with OTP Solutions in Seattle. My colleague Wendy Helling with over 25 years of data strategy experience will be our co-presenter. We have a great webinar for you today. We're hopeful today's session will be informative and we look forward to your questions. Let's run through a few logistics for today's webinar session. We expect the runtime to be no more than 25 minutes with Q&A. Throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A on the right side of your navigation bar to send your questions and submit your poll answers later in the session, since you will be on mute. All the responses to the poll question and along with today's presentation will be sent to all the participants at the end of the webinar session. We have a full agenda today, so let's get started. Wendy, please take it away.
Thanks, Chi, and good afternoon, everyone. So in terms of an enterprise data strategy, it's our experience that most organizations already have many of the capabilities we've listed. So the goal of a strategy is to bring them together to create value. Now, they don't necessarily need to be managed by the same group or department. However, they won't add the value you're seeking until they're consistently deployed through the people, the processes, and the technologies within your organization. So how do you get there? You get there by integrating these capabilities through policies, processes, and standards that are then deployed by your enterprise data governance program. So why data strategy? In my experience, the number one reason organizations develop a data strategy is to reduce the risk of producing inaccurate data. For example, in my most recent consulting role, the organization was concerned about the accuracy of data going outside the organization and being shared with local, state, and federal entities. So in this case, the organization wanted to be sure that multiple requests for the same data were both answered consistently and, if possible, preferably just once. In addition, firms that don't have an integrated data strategy can run the risk of things like building and tracking their business strategy with inconsistent data, likely are going to overspend on data storage and technology. And while you'll have pockets of excellence, your organization may inconsistently manage identified data risks. So, hey, Chi, from your experience, what are some of the innovative uses of data that would be a goal of a data strategy?
Wendy, in today's environment, proactive risk management are increasingly being adopted by the majority of the organizations. For example, major banks and financial institutions, big data, which is a typical term that describes a large volume of data, and analytical techniques play an important role in strengthening risk management in areas such as card fraud protection, financial crime compliance, and cyber analytics, which is a hot topic at the moment. The first step to successfully implementing a solid risk management strategy is to develop cohesive and thoughtful data strategy. Back to you, Wendy.
Thanks, Chi. So one of the goals of a data strategy really is you want to derive value, and you'll need more than capabilities to do that. Again, you'll need your policies and processes, and those again are defined as part of a data governance program. And then you apply that to people's roles, data use, and technologies. Here's an example of a common leadership concern and a few of those integration points within an organization. So leadership feels there's a risk in data leaving the organization for whatever reason. And to solve for that risk, you're going to want to integrate some of the following capabilities. And these are just a few. You'll want to deploy technology to store and process data requests. You've got to have the big picture, and you're going to need technology to help you with that. You're going to want to provide your leaders with the means to assess the risk of different types of data. Now, this usually includes defining data by some classification. For example, some data is publicly available, that might be a 1, and things that are only available within your own organization may be contractually obligated are a 5. Again, your leaders need to have a way to assess that. You're going to want to staff some kind of committee or group really to determine the business value of the requests that you're getting, and then to determine if you want to provide that information. You also will want to make sure you understand the meaning of your own data. So you're going to need to make sure your key elements have data definitions, including metadata, business, and technical glossaries. As you can see from this really simple use case, The layers of process working together within your organization are what creates the value you're looking for in your data strategy. Hey, Chi, that's a great segue into our poll question.
Thanks, Wendy. Our poll for today, which will come up on your screen, please vote based on your organization's current state. So the question is, how would you describe the maturity of your organization's data strategy? A, beginning, organization is developing the capabilities. B, in process, organization has developed data governance and starting to apply them to the capabilities. And lastly, mature, data strategy is enterprise-wide and utilizing data for decision making. So I'll give a few more seconds. So Wendy, it looks like the majority of the responses are in B, in process. So the next few slides will be helpful in defining data strategy. Back to you, Wendy.
Great, thanks, Chi. So our first tip really is about the data governance program, and it's the base of your data strategy. It's what it's built on. So once you've established and staffed the program, most organizations use their data lifecycle to determine what to work on first. And again, you're going after the highest risk. Now, because you've utilized data throughout the history of your organization, you're likely using many of the capabilities and you have a great deal of process and standards in place. So the change we're talking about here is applying a set of data governance standards and processes that are across the organization. Now, this makes a lot of sense in theory. However, it requires huge, and that's huge with capital letters, organizational change, as many business departments, your data shops, and your IT shops feel that the data is theirs to oversee and actually protect. So as you implement a data governance program, the existing data shops may feel like it's slowing down their current process. It will definitely take away some of their oversight and authority, and it's usually ignored if it's not supported by leadership. Hey, Chi, you and I both implemented data governance at both the enterprise and the business unit level. What other tips should an organization consider when implementing a data governance program?
Wendy, typically in most organizations, data governance lived over at the enterprise level, excluding business units' input when implementing data governance. So the tip, involve everyone within the organization, as it is everyone's responsibility to follow policies, processes, and rules for data governance to be successful. And avoid a bureaucratic setup, avoiding extensive red tapes. The end result will be a great understanding of organization's capabilities. Wendy?
Great, thanks, Chi. Our second tip really is around storage. So whether you're utilizing on-premise storage or the cloud, planning and managing storage use and cost will be important for the success of your data strategy. We're not going to say a whole lot more about this other than you're going to need more storage. And tip 3 is really about technology and using that to create efficiency. So we have 3 tools that we would suggest you look at in terms of capability. The first one is one of the things your organization is going to need to understand is how many data products are being produced and shared. And it's hard to derive value from data if you don't know what you have or what you're creating. So you're going to need the big picture. And the easiest way to do that is to use a tool to gather in all the requests and then to process those requests. The second tool is a master data management tool. And that again provides a means to store and easily access metadata and can provide you with master data, sometimes referred to as the golden record. Now, this is really useful if your organization has many operating systems with the same data. For example, when I worked at Group Health, the organization had both payer and provider systems, and those systems had multiple ways to define something as simple as an inpatient day. So the value of creating a golden record for inpatient days per 1,000, and we actually had several different definitions, was that we were always clear what we meant when building reports and making decisions when that data was involved. Now, to derive value from the master data management tool, you'll need to use it in one of 2 ways. The first is the master data elements need to be integrated back into the source of the operational systems, and/or the master data can be sent to a data warehouse and key reports should be generated from that versus your operational systems. And our third suggested technology is an enterprise data architecture. Now, in the past, this was often called a data warehouse tool. Today, we've expanded it to include all the elements needed to store, integrate, and share data from disparate sources. So once you've got your tools in place, it's time to talk about how to use and display the data. Chi, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Wendy. Those are great tips. In today's technology-driven world, common features of business intelligence software can be divided into three broad application categories: data management tools, data discovery applications, and reporting tools, which includes dashboards. So the key takeaway in this slide is invest in a tool that fits your organization's data strategy. You may not need all the bells and whistles if your IT organization cannot support the software. Key step in purchasing BI tools are knowing what will your BI tools answer for your organization. Also, what BI capabilities does your organization need in the current and future state? Your organizational needs will dictate the software choice. We have listed few of the available BI tools available in the market. OTB have successfully utilized Power BI to assist the organizations to calculate project health, reliable up-to-date minute data, robust risk issue reporting, and managing into the future looking ahead, which you can see. This is, and it's a little difficult to see, but it's a dashboard. Advanced analytics is typically beyond those of traditional business intelligence. Advanced analytics capabilities allows discover deeper insights, make predictions, or generate recommendations. However, the pitfall for many organizations is they purchase advanced analytics capabilities without having the necessary IT support and the necessary support staff expertise in data science. These tools are part of data science that uses high-level methods and tools to focus on project feature trends, events, and behaviors. You will need data scientist knowledge skills to effectively provide meaningful statistical or quantitative analysis models. On the IT support side, big data infrastructure must be available since data mining is a key aspect of advanced analytics, providing the raw data that will be used by both big data and predictive analytics. So how do you mature your data strategy? In summary, here's a checklist of today's key tactics for deriving value from your data strategy. Create a data strategy that supports your customer and business needs. For example, every organization desires to be at a prescriptive level, providing real-time dashboards. However, when you assess capabilities, does your organization's goals match the current state of business strategy and IT maturity? Have a strong data governance program at an enterprise and business level. Be prepared to integrate people, processes, and technology, which will require a great deal of change management. Understand what problems you're trying to solve. Given the preponderance of technology that organizations use to collect, manage, and analyze, define what your organization can support, or more importantly, wants to support. Lastly, the data strategy is more than managing data. It's using it to derive business decisions and innovation. Wendy?
Thanks, Chi, for the summary. So if you're thinking, this sounds challenging, what should I work on first? We can help. We've recently helped a client with their existing data strategy by integrating some of the following tactics. We help them deploy multiple technologies. We work with them to mature their enterprise data governance program. We worked with them to stabilize their data management practices, really the data definition component. We work with teams to create dashboards and provide analytics. And we supported their leadership team with organizational change management solutions. Again, we can help. Hey, Chi, let's move on and see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Wendy. Participants, please use the Q&A dashboard to type your questions. Let's review some of the questions we've received throughout the webinar. There's one question. Wendy says, are the tools you recommend in tip 3 custom?
That's a great question. And while you can build these types of tools in-house, there are multiple vendors that are available. So I would say we're likely tool agnostic. Again, tools provide storage, indexing, and ease of display. And really, before you even get started on tools, I'd say focus on defining your data. A lot of that work that's done outside of the tool by your data stewards and custodians, you'll need to do that up front. And you'll also want to take advantage of your organization's IT talent and roadmap. So hopefully you'll be able to find a tool that will fit on your existing platform.
Thanks, Wendy. There's another question. What should I prioritize first?
Earlier, I emphasized the need for a data governance program, and as it's the base for your data strategy. So within that, you'll want to prioritize a couple things. You're going to want to make sure your data management is one of the first things you work on. So those are your key data elements are defined and documented. You want to understand all the data products being provided within your company. Again, you want that big picture. You got to know what you're working with. You also want to focus on bringing your leaders and your data shops along so they're clear on the data governance policies and processes. And not only do they support them, they're starting to use them in their day-to-day process.
Thanks, Wendy. I see another question. There are a plethora of data management and support tools in the market. How do you choose the best aligned tools for program with multiple to separate source systems with a target SAP S-4 system?
I think one of the things I would really focus on is what is your current platform within your organization? And you need to look at the talent that you have within your company to run the tool, both on your data governance side as well as on your IT side. So I always start with the simplest tool that you can find that is either part of the existing suite that you have with your platform or a tool that you can hang off of, maybe your enterprise data warehouse. So let's say you have in your IT shop, you have a data request tool. You may be able to find a tool to capture your data, not your data requests, but your project requests, or a data request tool that I guess is that you're already using. Gee, that's
Thanks,
probably it
Wendy.
on that one. I just really focusing on what you already have.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum that up. I think I don't see any other, but we do have one more question, Wendy. It says, where is organizational change needed?
As always, it's needed throughout the organization, but there's a couple places we found that you're always going to need to use it when you're implementing data governance and data strategy. And the first one is a data shop. If you have data shops that produce a lot of reports and dashboards from operational systems, this is going to be a really big change for them. So you're going to want to make sure you have organizational change management solutions in helping them progress to what you want them to work on in your data governance program. And the second one is you're likely going to be implementing role-based access for both modeled and unmodeled data. So you're going to change from everybody has access to unmodeled data to people have access to modeled and some have access to unmodeled. And that will take time. It takes a while to build up enough of your model data, either your data sets or your data products. So you'll want to continue to have change management in place as you're bringing people along through this progression.
Great, thanks, Wendy. For the participants, if you didn't get your question in today, please do not hesitate to contact us later. All right, Wendy, why don't we move on to the next slide?
Great. So it looks like our time's about up today, and we hope you'll join us in May for the second webinar in our series, Deploying a Data Strategy. And specifics about the webinar will be available on the OTV website. You're also welcome to contact GRI directly. So thank you for attending today's webinar, and look for a link to this recorded session in your email.
Great, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the afternoon.